Dr. Sleep, written and directed by Mike Flanagan, takes place roughly 40 years after the events of The Shining, where Danny Torrance is down on his luck. Danny, played by Ewan McGregor, eventually comes into contact with a girl who shines named Abra, and the two become friends. The problem is there's a mysterious group hunting her. This group is hunting those who shine for a particular reason, and Danny and Abra attempt to escape the group's grasp for as long as possible. Alright, so recently my brother and I went to go see The Shining in theaters. They re-released it in 4K, and I'm assuming this was in preparation for Dr. Sleep. And really, I just think that viewing further cemented The Shining as one of my favorite horror movies ever. One of my favorite movies ever, honestly. It's just really that good. So considering the bar had been set so high with The Shining, I was excited to see what could be done with the sequel, but I was cautiously optimistic. I didn't want to get my hopes up. But I did like that I was going to see Ewan McGregor at the center of this. All the trailers look good, and I think everyone was kind of in agreement on that. And they gave me the impression that this film would make an effort to expand on the lore of The Shining and to offer something familiar yet new, which is always a good balance. Dr. Sleep delivers on that. I think the film definitely expands pretty dramatically on the lore surrounding The Shining and the Overlook Hotel for that matter, and it expands on the world as well, makes it feel bigger. What I liked most about the movie is that most of the time it feels like its own film. There are definitely parts where it doesn't, and I wasn't always crazy about that, but this film could almost exist outside of the Shining universe if you just change the term shine to something else and Danny's backstory. I was impressed with the film's willingness to step outside what The Shining offered and to offer new aspects to the world that make it feel a lot bigger. Much of the film focuses on defining what The Shining actually is. I think in the original 1980 film, it more so comes across as a tale of madness mixed in with some supernatural ghost stuff in there. This film is way more focused on figuring out what The Shining is, what sort of things that, people can do when they shine, and really a large part of the film is explored through the group that hunts those who shine. I'm not going to get into why this group is hunting shiners, but I will say that they're desperate, which makes them all the more dangerous. Part of the draw of a villainous group like this is their persistence and their dedication to a cult-like philosophy that makes them compelling. Even more so when you add in the fact that they're desperate and willing to do pretty much anything to advance their cause. The group is led by Rebecca Ferguson's character Rose, a character that I personally really enjoy. I think Rebecca Ferguson did a really great job here. She's been great in every film I've seen her in, but this is the type of role that I haven't seen her in before. Her character is villainous, of course. She's mysterious, and she's ruthless in all the right ways. I think her performance really does help raise the stakes because she leads her group in a way that makes them extremely dangerous and extremely conniving and capable at the same time. I also really like the other two main characters played by Ewan McGregor and Kylie Curran. Ewan McGregor did a great job, feeling like a natural extenuation of Danny from The Shining. He feels like what Danny would be like after he experienced something traumatic like he did in 1980. I think the way, Danny's character evolves is really interesting because in the original film, he's just, kind of an odd, quiet kid with some unique abilities. In Dr. Sleep, he lives with the trauma of what happened to him and his mother, and he carries that with him everywhere he goes. That weighs on him. I really like the direction they ended up taking that character. Kylie Curran is a name you might not know. She plays Abra, a child with some impressive shine abilities that consistently shows why she's so important in this story. I found myself consistently impressed with her performance and the way she portrayed her character. She was able to make, me care about her well-being, and generally the well-being of all those individuals that are being hunted for their shine. I think Kylie Curran is honestly a name to look out for. I really, really liked her performance in this film. So, I think one of the big questions most people are going to have is how scary is Dr. Sleep? Well, I wouldn't say it succeeds at being a pure scare horror film, but I don't think it's really trying to be that. Where The Shining went for more of a psychological horror type vibe, I think that Dr. Sleep goes for more of a dark drama thriller type vibe. There are, definitely attempts to provide scares through some memorable visuals, but I think that overall the film places more value in the heart of the drama than it does the heart of the scares. In my opinion, it is important to go into Dr. Sleep not expecting a Shining 2.0. This is a very different film with different goals, and it's not as scary or even as intense as The Shining is. There are some scenes that are really tough to watch and are scary, but I didn't feel as much fear and dread as I did, with The Shining pretty much, consistently in that film. Still, I think Dr. Sleep succeeds in other ways. It makes you care about the plight of the characters, and it makes you feel uneasy whenever the group goes on the hunt. Just a different type of scary, if you will. I was impressed with the technical aspects of Doctor Sleep as well, though. I think the score and the cinematography both stand out in ways that help elevate the film. There's a dreamlike aspect to the way much of the film is shot, with characters entering these unusual realities that make you feel like you're being transported to another world entirely. The film has a visual style that makes the entire experience feel uncomfortable and unusual, and also kind of adventurous in an odd way as well. I continually found myself saying, "Oh, that's a cool shot." And, I think the film is good at giving you unique perspectives that help you immerse yourself into the trippiness of the story, for lack of a better term. The score also works very well because it does similar things. There's definitely an effort to be similar to The Shining in this regard, with the horns and the strings and all that, but it does similar things in how it adds to, the unsettling nature and kind of the off-kilter vibe that these films tend to have. There's an effort to be consistent here, at least with aspects of the film, like the music. But speaking of consistency, I think there's probably a little more of a dedication to fan service in this film than I'd like. I appreciate some of the references and some scenes that are dedicated to characters we knew from the original, but I found some of it a bit distracting and like it deterred from the story being told this time around. One thing in particular that distracted me was how they handled the reintroduction of old characters. I'm not going to say any more about that to avoid spoilers, except that it's difficult, no matter which route you take if you elect to do this. So for me, I could have done without that stuff altogether, to avoid any practical issues that could affect the immersion of the audience. My only other issue with the film is how it handles the abilities of those who shine. I think it almost expands things a little bit too far to the point where the characters begin to feel superhuman, which is cool at times and also feels like it's a little bit too much of a left turn from the original film other times. So the abilities are also a bit ambiguous, but that is a minor complaint. Overall, I still really liked what they did with The Shining and, and the whole abilities type thing, but there are some little nitpicks I have here and there with it. Overall, though, I really like Doctor Sleep. I think it's a competently made film that ultimately serves as a satisfying sequel to The Shining. As for the pros cons, for the pros, I think Doctor Sleep has some great performances, strong cinematography and music, lots of drama and/or tension, and it stands on its own without being a Shining copy. As for the cons, I think that the fan service moments can be a bit distracting sometimes, and the Shining abilities feel like they're too ambiguous and over the top at times. I'm going to give Doctor Sleep an 8.5 out of 10 and recommend you check it out if you've seen The Shining. Although the film stands on its own pretty well, I'd still recommend you watch The Shining first. So did you guys see Doctor Sleep yet? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. Also, let me know what your thoughts on The Shining are. Is it one of your favorite horror movies? It's certainly one of mine, and like I said, one of my favorite movies, period, but let's discuss that. Either way, this is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next video.